What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Wes's Angling. Today's going to be another fishery review. We're at Charity Farm, so I've just brought some of my stuff down to the peg while I was having a look at the place. The water level's down on the other lakes, which I'll show you. Really nice complex Charity Farm, so I hope the fishing hasn't died here. It used to be so nice. There's a bit of bubble in there, just out. That's a good sign. Right, I'm going to bring the other stuff down. I'm going to get my pencilite brolly shell to set up, and we'll get fishing. But first, I'll show you the rest of the complex. Well guys, looks like there's a big storm coming in. There's nobody else fishing this lake. This is a specimen lake as well. Look at that. Water level's really down on it. I've not been to Charity Farm in probably 2.5 years. So I don't know how it's fishing. But this is a specimen lake. Just having a quick walk around because like I said, it's been a while since I've been here. And they've changed a lot. They've changed the entrance to the big lake. There's a couple of small lakes just above the specimen lake here. There's the same sort of fish in them all, just your normal coarse fish. There used to be carp up to 25 pounds in the specimen lake here. To be honest with you, the specimen lake at Charity Farm just looked like a normal coarse water. It's not like a special specimen lake where you've got to book on for it or anything like that. So, and then they've got these little small ponds. They've got two of them. They've got one here and then one behind them. Can't see any fish activity so far. I don't know why the water level's so far down on them, because we've had a bit of rain. It's going to absolutely chuck it down today. So I'm kind of eager to get to a peg and get set up before it starts. I'm going to be fishing method feeder today with a little bit of a twist. I think the ugly stick's going to make an appearance, so we're going to have the ugly stick out with the carp rig on and see if we catch anything on that, and fish method feeder for pretty much anything that swims. But we're not fishing these 3 lakes. This lake, in my opinion, was always my favourite. If you come to fish here, that corner peg over there with the reeds, so that's where you come into the lake. That corner peg over there with the reeds is my personal choice. Or there's an overflow peg there. So just by the side of the overflow, carp seem to congregate there, very close in. I'm talking only maybe a foot out. So if you come here, that specimen lake's really good, but we're not fishing that lake today. The reason that I'm fishing the bigger lake is I fished it a couple of years ago and all the carp were covered in parasites, and I just wanted to see how it was fishing, whether that was still the case. It really put me off the last time I came. I come twice and only caught a couple of fish, and it used to fish really well, and I thought the carp fought really hard. Let's see what's happening with it. I know they've changed a lot, and we'll go and have a look at the big lake. Just a quick side note, because this is a campsite, they have really good shower facilities and a toilet block, and they've also got a cafe look. So that might interest some people. So that's where the first 3 lakes are up there. So this is the lake we're going to be fishing today, pond 4. We made a new entrance to it. Some fish chopping already. This is a good sign. I think I'll be fishing tight up to that middle island, so it goes right round in a donut shape. I'm not 100% sure on pegs yet. I'll probably fish the end peg. I think it's a little bit shallower on this left hand side. So the other side of this bridge here is where I caught my 14 pounder, but that was the only fish I caught that day. I do really well, or I used to do really well, on the end pegs there, fishing over to the island. Prices for Charity Farm: it's £7 for one rod, and £1 per extra rod. I wouldn't really like to fish any more than 2 rods here. The swims are tight together. It's never normally rammed. Just in a massive dead golden orph in the margin. Look at this. It's huge. Fish seem to be moving about midway, but that golden orph is massive. You can't really see it on the GoPro, but it's about 1 foot long. Crazy big. But this is the lake. Wind's blowing into me, which is what I want. The heavens are going to open at some point today, so I've got the old pentalight with me. I'm going to get that set up so at least all my gear doesn't get soaking wet, and the camera and what have you. So like I said, I'm going to have the ugly stick out with a carp rig on, probably to one side of the island, and then I'm going to have the method feeder rig set up to the middle and to the other corner of the island. However, the fish seem to be moving about midway, so that might be another place that I try at some point today. But I think the carp will be shoaled up under the snags around the island, but who knows. We're going to get fishing. This is the peg, like I said, straight across from this island, and we'll see what we catch today for you. And then, as always, we'll give it a fishery review rating at the end out of 10. But I'm eager to get cracking and get set up. Right, so I've got myself set up in what can only be described as a semi-acceptable way, right? So wind's proper blowing into me now, which is brilliant. But I've got the old ugly stick set up. A lot of you are asking for an update on the ugly stick. If you're following the channel, you know that I'm doing an ugly stick challenge this year. I'm trying to catch as many species and fish as possible on the ugly stick to multiple sizes. So today's a perfect day to test it. But I've got a carp rig on this with a little bit of rig tubing. As you can see, it's only a 6 foot rod. And I've just got £10 line on a spinning reel there, and I'm going to whack this out with a 12mm wafter to the point of the island, and we might get a fish on that today. I'm going to set it down here out the way on a bite alarm, and if we get a fish, that's a bonus. I've got my pentalight brolly shelter set up the best I can in this peg. There's nowhere to pin anything down. It's all rocky and rubbly, but I've got in a sort of position where I can film and not get absolutely wet through. It is gonna chuck it down, there's no doubt about it. The wind is tearing this way and it's really picking up. You can see the trees behind me, they're rustling away. I hope that you're going to be able to hear me okay. I've put the wind reduction on the GoPro, so we should be good for today. So I've just got this set up on a little bit of a runny rig, so that's just going to sit here, like I said, on a bite alarm, and we're going to forget about that until it tears off. It's probably going to rip the ugly stick in with it if we do get a fish on it, because if we do get a fish on it, it's going to be a decent fish. On this side, we're going to be doing the usual. We've got the method feeder set up, and I'm going to be fishing to the left hand point of the island and probably just around the middle of the island as well. So let's get our ground bait mix. I'm going to put the ugly stick down for now. There's my bite alarm. I tried to do it there so it's close to me, but it interferes with the method feeder, so we'll put it here. Make sure that's in the ground tight, because we don't want to get it pulled in, right? So that's what we're going to do. That's on. So if you hear that noise today, that means ugly sticks go time. So that's all set up. I did already have this set up in my bag, this ugly stick, but it's all tangled up, probably because it's only short. But just a 4000 reel, absolutely awesome little rods. If you haven't seen the little test that I did with them, just a bit of fun. It's up in the right hand corner now. But yeah, just a size 8 runny rig, easy. Wafter on that, I'll show you how I screw them on. It's just a little bait screw, it's dead easy. So I'm going to set that up, I'm going to have it propped up here, ready to go. That's firm, so if we get a run, it's just going to pull line off the spool, I'll loosen the drag off, and then we'll get straight on it as quick as we can, jump over this rod, be like an assault course. Something's going to get broken today, landing net or something. And there we go, landing net in the middle. Right, what baits are we using today? You know me, folks, pink wafters are going to be opening the show, so I'm going to put some 8 mils on. I'll probably fish a size 12 or a 14 hook. There used to be some good carp in here, and on the Ronnie rig I'm just gonna, I've tied up some PVA bags ready to go, so I'm just going to pop one of them PVA bags on the Ronnie rig, blast that out and just leave it. I'll just forget about it. Just put one of these wafters on, probably a pineapple, they do really well. So that's that rod. So on the other one, take your rubbish with you, stick that in there for now. If I look like I'm rushing, I'm just trying to get this first bit of filming done before it starts raining and I can get under the brolly. So let's put some pellets in there. Let's do a 50-50 mix. Might not use them all. Yeah, sorry, let's mix them all. And then 50-50 with this ground bait. Use all that and all. Can use that this week. Going fishing somewhere different with my dad this week. So we'll use it then. Right, so that's mixed through. I usually mix these separately, but we're not being bothered with that today. We're just going to fill this up. Loads of water that, but then pellets will absorb a lot of that water up. So in a couple of minutes, then pellets will have absorbed a lot of that water. Around the edges here. Pellets will have absorbed a lot of the water. It might be a bit wet. I think I've gone a bit overboard, but be right. It'll stick to the feeder. Them sticky pellets are really good. Sonia Bates ones. Like I say, I'm not affiliated with any of these companies in any way, shape or form. I will put links to the products that I use in the description, as I always do. I'll also link the name for the place that we're fishing at the moment. And if you haven't subscribed, now's your time to do so. Got the old Lucky Westies angling hoodie on that, and hopefully we get a fish. Knackered, not even started yet. Right. So I think first thing we'll do is we'll bomb this. I'll put you on my head and we'll bomb this Ronnie rig out. I'm going to put it to this side of the island. Hopefully I can get it close enough to that island. It's quite, obviously it's a short rod, but it's got some power in it. Obviously it's for casting lows, so plenty powerful enough. And while this pellet mix is drying out, so let's get this out. Okay folks, so GoPro's on my head. Get a pineapple wafter. We'll get a PVA bag. I'll put them down there out the way so we don't lose them. Got a bit of corn to try today as well. Can't go wrong with corn. Vital arm's working. It's probably the only time you'll hear it today. But I'm just going to screw that in to the Ronnie rig. Hook sharp because it's in my finger. That's perfect. So where I put the hook stop is roughly in line with where the barb would be if it was a barbed hook. Obviously it's not a barbed hook. It's a running lead system as well in case we get broke, so the fish are safe. That's the main priority. Right, so the way I hook my PVA bags is through the side. I don't like hooking them on the knot end, and I just go for a couple of times like that. That'll secure it, because I'm going to have to wallop this out. Check I'm not wrapped around the tip. That's secure. That's on a swivel, and I'm just going to have a little bit of line out. Trees behind me, so I have to be careful, but I'm just going to bring this over my head. Oh. Shutting a bit tighter. Right, are you ready? Ronnie rig going out, overhead cast. Well, it's going to have to go midway. That did not cast as well as I thought it was going to. Okay, so I'm going to slacken my drag off so a fish can take line. And it's not going to pull me rod in, hopefully. A little bit of warning there with the bobber. So I should have plenty of warning there, he says. Right, method feeder. Onto the main part. As you can see, those pellets have actually absorbed all that water that was in there, and it's gone pretty much rock hard. Now what you should do is put this for a riddle, but I'm just going to break it up with my hands because I'm going to save some time. But it's all broken up that now, it's nice and loose. It's actually gone on the dry side, believe it or not. So what we're going to do, bit of a tip for you, sweet corn juice, don't throw it away. You're kidding me. Got a bit of a bleep on the ugly stick. So don't throw your juice away, put it in your ground bait. I'm just going to put a few sprinklings of corn in there as well and mix it up again, and that's going to have a nice sweet corny flavour now, hopefully. Beautiful, that ground bait. That'll do me for a couple of sessions. So method feeders on the rods together, just using my Shimano Speedmasters and Daiwa Crossfire reels. I'm going to have to stand up to cast every time I cast today, which is a little bit annoying, but rather that than get absolutely soaked. I'm going to kick things off heavy and scale down if I need to. Let's go with one of these size 14s, 8mm pink wafter, and we're just going to put that in the band, which is a perfect presentation for these. I do have bait screws as well, but I'm not a fan. I prefer them banded. I think it's softer and a better presentation, but it's all personal preference. You do what you like doing. Okay, and we're ready to go. Now I'm going to cast out quite often at the start. I'm not going to clip up because there are some decent fish in here. Let's see how these sit on the method feeder. I'm sure they're going to be perfect, actually. They feel perfect. Yeah, they're great then. And I'm just going to stand up to cast this. Oh, there's that dead eye, look. Said that. Nice fish that as well. Check my drag's right, that'll do. And I'm just going to flick this over to the island as close as I can. That's a beautiful cast, that. A few of you have shouted at me for not feathering my line, but like I say, I am definitely no pro, and I'm definitely under the impression that no matter how you cast in, if you cast in distance, a lot of the feed does fall off the method feeder on the way down as it is. But you know it's going to be there or thereabouts in the swim, that's the main thing. I'm going to drop that a touch. I want it close to the water. Must be quite shallow there over to the island, because the angle of the line is quite flat. Oh yeah, there's a bit of a slope. You see how I just pulled down a slope there, tightening up to it? So we might be at the bottom of a slope there, which is actually where you want to be. Right, we're fishing. It's just dropped back, which tells me that I'm actually fishing on a slope there. It wasn't a fish. I just need to move this further forward. Yeah, definitely wasn't a fish. I'm just on a slope. See how it's pulling it? Yeah, I'm going down a slope, so I need to come a little bit further away from the island on the next cast. Hopefully it's still got some bait that's tumbled down the slope with it. So if you do that, when you tighten it up to the feeder and your feeder's moving, because these are a 40 gram feeder, so that they're very heavy, and you know you can tighten right up to them. So what it's doing is it's falling down a slope, the feeder. So when you tighten up to it, it goes slack. You know that you've moved your feeder or it's dropped somewhere. Now ideally you want to be fishing at the bottom of those slopes or tight up to the far bank. Now obviously the tighter you go to the far, that was a fish. Now obviously the tighter you go to the far bank, the more chance you are of getting snagged. That was a twitch. Oh, there's fish in the swim. It's a great sign. Oh, we're in. Yeah. Are we? Definitely a twitch. No. Right, let's get it back out though, same spot. It's just starting to rain. Just come a little bit closer to us this time. Perfect, that mix. So let's step up. So let's line it up. I'm going to be in line with that big tree over there. There we go, so we're a bit closer. So weirdly, the dead-eyed that was floating around my peg has resurrected itself and swum off. It just got off. Must be on the way out. So I had a little bit of a twitch then, which was, I'm pretty damn sure it would have been a bream. It was a very bream-like bite. Nothing on the ugly stick yet, but we've only just started. Pre-storm weather like this can be great for fishing. So if you're brave enough to get on the bank and get wet, you can have a good day sometimes. Especially when the wind's blowing into you. It's a really mild wind as well, I can feel it. So as you can see, there's carp down there in the margin as well. Could have a good day. So just while we're waiting for a fish, Charity Farm is actually a campsite as well, so I think you can bring a caravan down here if you've got one. That's why they've got such good toilet facilities and cafe on site. Like I said, I used to love it here. I was here pretty much every week at one point. I've had some nice fish out of here, and I think there's still some nice fish in as well, so definitely worth a try. Indications all over the lake today, swirling, bubbling. There's more activity here than I've seen at a few places over the last few weeks. Whether it's just the conditions, whether it's this mild stormy spell that we're having, but reasonably priced as well. You know, £8 for 2 rods isn't bad, pretty standard, and there's a good choice of lakes. The website's got information on, you know, what size the fish go to and things like that. Now the accuracy of that is probably outdated slightly, but there's definitely carp up to probably £18 in most of the lakes. Charity Farm's located on the way into Wigan, so it's near Wrightington, Parbold area. I just wanted to give this lake another try since it had all the parasite trouble. The carp had these little round parasites on them. I think they call them carp lice, but they just, you could tell that it was putting them off the feed. They were covered in them. Like each fish had 20 of these lice on them. It was horrendous, but hopefully they picked up on that. I did tell the owner at the time, who comes around very regular. Well, I'm going to give it another couple of minutes, and I'm going to recast back in, and we're going to start building that swim up on the point of the island. This one, I'll probably leave it in 1 hour, 2 hours, cast somewhere different. So I might try down the margin. I might see if I can get a further lob over to the island. Just had a liner on the ugly stick. I think it was a liner. Yeah. Right, while I'm up, I'm going to recast this. Start building up that swim. Feels heavy. Oh, what have we got here? Oh my gosh, look at this. He couldn't even move the method feeder. It wasn't even registering on the tip. Look at that thing. It's a little F1, I think. Absolutely awesome. On an 8mm wafter as well. Greedy little thing. If we keep getting those, we might have to go for a 10mm wafter, but we can do that if we need to. Getting indications already. It is probably them small carp. So that's been in probably about 10-15 minutes now, so I'm going to recast it and we're just going to keep building up that swim close up to the island. Any bait we put in is probably going to get demolished by them tiny carp that are there. What I also might do is I might swap over to that 10mm wafter as well, which will just put the small carp off. I don't think they'll be able to take it. So I've had 3 of them small carp on the bounce now, all the same sort of size, so we might have to do something about that. Like I said, we might go to a 10mm wafter, but that also stops our chances of potentially getting a decent bream and stuff like that maybe. But the other thing I could try is I could try coming a bit closer in, see if that's where the bigger fish are. In fact, there's plenty of bubbles coming up about midway there. That's perfect where the bubbles are. A little bit annoying having to stand up every time I cast, but there we go. To be fair, the bubble, it might be them small carp. It might be absolutely rammed with them. Right, it's nice and flat there. I'm tight to the feeder. Size 12 there. Tied up on a bait spike. And if we're still getting pestered, we'll go for a bigger hook. I just don't like these bait spikes. That's the only way I found of getting them on. You're going to press it against your nail. Left a nice long hair there. As you know, folks, I usually fish 2 method feeder rods, and what I would have probably done here is have one over to that side of the island and one over to that side of the island, or down this margin here. But like I said, I do need to start using the ugly stick and continue with the ugly stick challenge, and a couple of you have been asking for it, so it's out today and hopefully we get a fish on it. Second cast, I'm going to cast down into this margin in the right hand corner. Now I'm going to be casting across swims there, so obviously if there was people on the lake I wouldn't do that, but I am literally the only person on this lake today. I think I'm actually the only person on the complex today, which is potentially a bad sign. But I've had 3 of them small carp on the bounce, so but it used to be, you used to be getting 7-8 pound carp from the island, you know, it used to be a carp a chuck. But fisheries change. It's really tugged at that 10mm wafter. What's going on here? Unless there's something on it. Yeah, we might have something on that. Feels heavier than the feeder now. Odd. Well, I've got a feeling I'm getting pestered by them little carp. Not sure how to solve that problem without going to a bigger hook bait altogether, to the point where they ain't going to get it in their mouths, but then I'm not going to catch anything else either, so tough one. They're just not letting the other fish get to the bait, I don't think. The problem is that they're probably eating all the bait, they're pulling at the hook bait, but they're not big enough to take it. Unless I just try and catch a few of them and try and get through them. Yeah, I think there's a fish on this. Yeah, well there was. It's one of them little carp again. My God. What am I going to do, guys? Getting absolutely pestered by them. I might have to scale down the old setup and try and catch the small ones. Might be the best hope for this session, and hope for a big one on the ugly stick. I just think the big carp will just be out competed by them little tiny ones. Should really take some out. Jam packed with them though, because I'm getting indications on the drop. I think I'm going to have to go to a size 16 hook and 6mm pink wafter. You know what they say, chaps, if you can't beat them, try and catch them. So that's a size 16 with a 6mm wafter there, and that's going on the next cast. We'll just fish for these all day. If we manage to get through them and hook something decent, we'll just have to hope it doesn't break this 7-pound hook link. When I say it's a 7-pound hook link, it's Guru N-gauge, so it's a very, very low diameter mono. Now the problem with that is it's less stretch. when they make a mono or lower diameter and they advertise this stronger breaking strain, it's a lot thinner and it's a lot more supple. But the problem is that it's just not as springy as your mainline would be. So the lower diameter, you get less stretch, and therefore it's a lot easier to break a hook link, especially with a short hook link on a method feeder like this. It's not too bad if you're using a long feeder hook link, but that's not how this method works. You need the short hook link for the bolt effect. So like I say, I'm just scaling down, and look, if we happen to hook a big fish, just have to play it safe. It's quite snaggy over to that island though, so whether we'd manage to land it or not, I don't know. So owner's just been round, I've just been talking to him, and he said they had a match on Sunday and they were managing to get through these smaller carp, but he said they were getting 30 odd pounds worth of the small ones, but a couple managed to get some through to some of the bigger ones. That's a bream. Oh, at least that's something else. As the hook come out, as usual. Yep. There you go. I won't pick it up and get slimed up, but there you go, bream. Just shows you persistence. Nothing on the ugly stick yet. The owner was just laughing at my ugly stick. Told him it's not the size that counts, it's how you use it. Story of my life, that. It does look a bit stupid, to be fair. If any match fishermen turn up, any serious match fishermen, and they saw that, I think they'd have an heart attack. You know what? I'm going to try a little bit closer in. All the carp that are splashing seem to be a bit closer in, the bigger ones. So let's try on the pole line, because that's where the match fishermen will be fishing. So that's about 13 foot there. So let's just try a bit closer in there and not get stuck in a bush. Yeah, he said the winners had about £50 worth of fish on Sunday and £30 worth of them small carp. Took me all day to get through £30 worth. On the carp that I've caught so far, that first one being the biggest, I've not seen any parasites on them, so they've probably eradicated the problem. But I'll definitely know by the end of today. The bigger carp seem to be splashing about probably a quarter of the way out towards the island, so they might be a bit closer in. Do we swing it or net it? Let's swing it, it's only tiny. Probably being a little bit naughty there. Look at that, they're all like this, little commons. I'm giving up by the island. Well, if we keep feeding it up, I'm sure that the bigger fish will move in and push those little cat. Got a fish on there. I think I've got a fish on there. And what was I saying? And push these little carp out. They're getting smaller, boys. Oh, it's come off. Let's try again. It took it on the drop, that one. Well, if you want to come here and fish for them little carp, bring a float. And again, there must be thousands of these little carp. This is why it's good to have lots of different options of hook links. You see, they're not even pulling the feeder all the way around, but I'm pretty damn sure there's a fish on that. Yeah. Yeah, there's fish on that. So this is why it's good to have different options. Like I can put a bigger rig on if I wanted to, or I can keep almost catching these little carp. All right, where's my rig case? This is, I'm really going very, very, very overkill heavy duty here. These are really big hooks, but they're also very sharp hooks. That fluorocarbon's quite thick, which isn't ideal when you're method feeder fishing, because you don't get the same rig mechanics. But look at that, that's just hooked me in the hand. Like, it's very, very sharp, that hook. Okay, let's try a tiger nut wafter. See if I can band it. Not snapping the band. Well, there we go. So that's banded. Now it's only going to be a pretty decent fish that's going to be able to take that. Hey up guys, we've got a fish on the wafter on a massive hook. Must be a better fish. 12mm wafter this. I don't believe it. Look at this. I mean, it's a nice bream, but the size of the wafter it's taken. Look at this, hold on. Look at the size of this wafter. It's a nice, like I say, it's a nice bream, but it has taken an absolute chunk of a wafter there. I bet it, look at that. I doubt that'd even fit in your mouth, pal. Look what I've just hooked on the 12mm wafter. Look, 12mm wafter, there's the hook. It's knocked the wafter off, and that size 8 hook has nailed him. I can't believe it. What are the chances of that? It must be packed with them. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends whether you want to catch stuff like that all the time. I guess it's a great place to come fishing if you've got kids and they want to catch pretty much all day. Look at this, guys. It's just impossible, this. Oh my god. What have you done to yourself? Come on, ugly stick, you're letting a team down. This is what I'm seeing on the rod tip. I don't know whether you can see it. I'll just lean over and show you. But little vibrations. Now, sometimes when I'm getting these vibrations, they're actually on the hook. But like I said, they're too small to move the feeder. You see, you get a little bit of a drop back like that. But I'm just waiting until it goes completely around. Now, if they're really tiny, these carp, you probably won't be able to move it. So what I'm doing then is I'm tightening back up. I'm tightening up to it like that. But there's a fish on there. Yeah. So it's hard to know whether the fish is on or not. Now, like I said, I could swap to a lighter feeder if I wanted, but see, we've got a little carp on there and it just wasn't moving the feeder. Oh dear, folks. I think they're getting smaller. Calm down, you. I think they're getting smaller. Look at that. I'm literally just fishing very close in, just a flick out. Probably up to about 30 something now of these. And that's how quick it is. That's how quick it is to come off. I'm sorry if you don't like that I'm swinging them in like this, but they are very tiny. It's not going to do them any harm. Ooh, this one's a little bit better, I think. Might be a netter, this one. Fighting. Ah, that's why. Look at this one. This is a pretty little fish. First mirror. Look at that for a mirror carp. It's absolutely pristine. Definitely fought more than the others. Okay folks, so I think I'm going to wrap the video up here. If I was to give Charity Farm a rating out of 10 for my fishery reviews, I'm probably going to say 6 out of 10. There's a few things that are going for it and a few things that I'm not so sure of. I will fish here again, and I might update the score once I've fished the Specimen Lake again, because that is a good lake. There's a few things going for it, like I said, so good choice of lakes, not bad price for a day ticket. And also they've got a cafe and really good toilet facilities as well. We've caught today, obviously. We've had a number of those little carp. Now, if that's the kind of thing that you don't mind coming fishing for, if you want to come here for a day and fish float, you know, I'm pretty sure you're guaranteed to catch on them little carp. God knows how many you'd catch if you fish maggots or bread punch or something like that. I think you'd just have it away. You'd really back up on them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Westies Angling.